why President Trump shouldn't raise the SALT deduction cap is the president of the National Taxpayers Union, Pete Sepp. Pete, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
All right, look, I live in New Jersey, and I guess I'd be the beneficiary of this, but I don't agree with it. If you're going to vote for high property taxes, if you're going to vote for high state income taxes, if you're going to vote for high state sales taxes, you should pay them. It is unfair to residents of low tax states and better managed states like Florida and Texas. They should not have to foot the bill for your deductions.
Well, yes, and it's unfair to residents in the blue states that are supporting the SALT deduction as well, because when you think about it, the 2017 tax cut law, yes, it curtailed the amount of state and local tax you can deduct on your federal return. But in exchange, you got lower rates, 2 to 3 percentage points in every tax bracket, including the upper ones. You got rid of largely the alternative minimum tax for 5 million people, including people in New Jersey. That was a hideously complex tax that you paid when you took too many tax deductions. You got all kinds of other provisions in the law that more than offset for the vast majority of people any impact that curtailing the state and local tax deduction had. And we're talking about jobs here too. This was recently put out by the National Association of Manufacturers. In the biggest SALT deduction states, there are about 1.3 million jobs at stake if the 2017 tax cut law isn't extended. And one of the big roadblocks to extending that law is a few members of Congress who want to somehow bring back the SALT deduction either in full form or in bigger form than it already is. Let's remove that problem by just leaving the deduction the way it is now with a limit of $10,000. Or if you want to have a double deduction for a married couple, fine, do that. But restoring the thing in full is going to cause a lot more problems that on net will leave New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, other taxpayers worse off.
Well, look, I understand, and I've talked to blue state Republicans, right? If you're in the federal government and you don't control what the state does, and Republican voters in maybe certain counties or certain areas, they are outnumbered by people that are going to vote for the high taxes in a state like New Jersey because it comes with a lot of redistribution. You know, I get why a Republican would say we have to have this deduction. It isn't fair, but in a theoretical discussion, you shouldn't be able to write off your state and local taxes to your federal income taxes because, okay, what's the point of living in a low tax state? Then the whole point of encouraging your state to lower taxes, to maybe even have no income tax, is that look how much you're paying. Oh, you're paying state, local, federal. It's in states like New York and New Jersey and California, it's nearly impossible to get by with the level of taxation you have at all levels. But I understand why it was negotiated. I totally get it. I understand why blue state Republicans will support it because they have to.
Yes. And of course, in explaining the have to part here, we don't have to take high taxes at the state level lying down.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
That's right. I mean,
how is it that Florida,
their governor,
how is it that Florida and Texas and New Hampshire can operate well without a state income tax, right? I mean, if anything, these states like California and New Jersey that are just high tax and poorly managed in many cases. Look what's going on in Southern California. You would think that voters would finally say enough with the raising of the state income taxes. I'm already paying federal. Now you're hitting me here, and I'm paying local sales, unit, property taxes. If anything, this should make voters want to say to the state government, lower my tax bill altogether. That's right. So I don't have to play games with writing it off.
That's right. And some of us are old enough to remember when tax revolts happened in all of these states. the Proposition 13 tax revolt in 1977 in California. In New Jersey, for example, you guys did without an income tax all the way up to 1972. Connecticut did without one until 1990. These are not states that necessarily had an income tax forever in making a promise to get rid of or lower property taxes. They got along without one for quite a long time. They can do so again. They can make themselves zones of economic freedom if they can figure out how to straighten out their budgets like Iowa did and start cutting taxes instead of raising them. Iowa's done it. Lots of other states have done it very recently. Even California and New Jersey and New York can do it.
Yeah, but it's very hard when you're up against blue state Democrats who believe that by not having taxes for some and not others and then redistribution to get rid of that and make everyone a taxpayer, they call it regressive taxation. I thought we wanted people to have skin in the game. And of course, it's easy. If you're not actually paying the taxes, it's easy for you to vote for a political party or politicians that will tax the other guy. Right? I mean, let him pay for your kids' education. Let him pay for your health care. Let him pay to plow your roads. That's easy. Getting somebody to vote for high taxes when they're not paying anything, as a matter of fact, they're receiving, that's an easy thing to do. It's hard to say, hey, if we want these services, we're all going to have to pay for them.
That's right. And sooner or later, something bad like these fires happen to show the folks who have been skating along, frankly, with a very low tax bill that, wait a minute, I'm not even getting the value for the tiny bit that I pay right now out of my government. My house is burned down. I don't have anything anymore. I can't get insurance on my new house in this state. And they'll probably charge a bunch of money in property taxes when they revalue whatever gets built on my old home site. That is not the kind of financial common sense that even folks at the moderate income level are expecting out of their government. They want better. They deserve better.
You know, that's one thing I love about Senator Rick Scott of Florida. When he put out that 12-point plan, he said everybody should pay, the minimum should be $100. You're putting something in, right? You're putting in $100. Even if that seems meaningless, if you actually have to pay something, you're now concerned. And I like the idea that we all pay something. Obviously, in any tax system, the rich are always going to pay more, right? Whether it's VAT taxes, sales taxes, usage taxes, the rich are always going to pay more. But we should not be taking people off the rolls and freeing them of any responsibility. I got 20 seconds.
That's right. And it translates to other programs. When Mike Pence was governor of Indiana, he instituted that for Medicaid. Folks would have to pay $5, $7 a month in premiums. They suddenly got more responsible with the program.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. Personal responsibility. All right, Pete, thanks so much for joining us. I got to leave it there.
Always a pleasure. Take care.
All right.